Hello, my name is SMS Hypertalk, and you are welcome to The Recovered Addict, where we are passionate about our stand against addiction. Addiction is easier than you think. Don't be one of those people who say, "It can never happen to me." I was one of them. 150% sure that addiction could never ever happen to me. I came from a good home. My mom was a nurse and my dad was a liar. I knew a lot about drugs and saw drug abuse as something far removed from my life. To me, even taking more than two paracetamol or using them too frequently was considered drug abuse. Fast forward to 2024, and I was a drug addict. It was killing me, yet I couldn't stop. Even when I realized it was no longer doing anything for me, quitting felt impossible. If I hadn't stopped when I did, I would not be alive today. I still remember the day I went to my dad to tell him I was on drugs and that I needed help and that I was even dying. Despite being very close to him, he had no idea about my addiction. Asking for help was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but it was necessary. My life was at stake. Back in 2015, I lost my mom. It was in the middle of the semester. I was in my third year at university. My siblings and I went for a few days, but we quickly returned to school. We all had to find ways to cope with the loss. But for me, it hit differently because my mom and I hadn't been on good terms before her death. And the guilt consumed me. A friend at school, a lady, introduced me to smoking marijuana. She actually taught me with cigarettes. Then she went to get marijuana and taught me how to smoke it. The first time I smoked, I forgot my troubles for a while. But when the effects wore off, the pain returned and I had to smoke again and again and again. That's how it all began for me, as a coping mechanism for grief. Addiction took a lot from me. But before I share, I want you to understand why I'm telling my story. This isn't for entertainment. I'm telling you my story to inspire you. I want people to truly understand what addiction is and how it can destroy a person. Surface level information is common, but real relatable stories are very rare. So in order for you to understand how addiction affected me, you need to know who I was before addiction. Before addiction, I was intelligent, principled, and focused. Some might even say I was uptight, but I prefer to use the word discipline. I was the assistant class rep in my class, and I could have been the departmental vice president if I wanted to, but I never liked politics. I was the kind of person who, if I said assignment was due by 2 p.m., I wouldn't collect it at 2:30. I always read my books after classes, I didn't party, and I respected myself a lot. Some thought I was even proud, but I simply had high expectations of people and zero tolerance for foolishness. If I set my mind on something, I almost always achieved it without needing help from anyone. When I started smoking, everything changed. At first, I became lazy. I started skipping classes, something I had never done. Soon, I couldn't even muster the energy for simple tasks like cleaning my space, bathing regularly, or cooking, which I used to love. My physical appearance deteriorated and I became nonchalant about my looks. My priorities were completely out of order. It also destroyed my finances. I spent all my money on drugs, often prioritizing them over food, which I loved because I was a foodie. I still am a foodie. Saving became impossible and I lost all self-control. I began asking friends for money frequently. One day, a friend called me a beggar. That really hurt me, but it didn't stop me. I borrowed from loan apps without repaying, and I even used my dad's account to borrow money without his knowledge. I totally lost my dignity. I talked to people I would have ignored before just because I needed their help to get drugs. Though I'm grateful I never stooped to sleeping with men for drugs, as many addicts do, I came close to that point. Physically, I lost a lot of weight, dropping from like a size 16 to what felt like a size 6. I even lost 4 of my tooth in one day. One day I was so high that I blacked out. I fell face first and shattered 3 of my teeth. Four, actually, or let's say I broke three and one shattered. One tooth had to be completely replaced. I lost my education too. Despite being in my final year, I spent 7 years on a 4 year course. When I finally tried to pay my school fees, it was too late. The university removed me from the system because I had exceeded the maximum allowed time to graduate. That was the first time in my life that I became suicidal. I've lost count of how many times I tried to quit, but I'll tell you this: every time I stopped and started again, the addiction came back stronger. If I had to estimate, I'd say I tried quitting at least 6 to 10 times. Hmm. I do owe much of my success to a book by Alan Carr titled Easy Way to Quit Smoking. This is not a sponsored mention, by the way, but I highly recommend it. The book helped me quit once before, and it was gifted to me by someone close to me who had quit with the help of reading the book. It explains addiction in a way that's easy to understand and demystifies a lot of the myths and beliefs that we have about it. By October 2024, after rereading the book and doing a lot of introspection, I truly believe that drugs weren't doing anything for me. But even then, I couldn't stop. I told my dad that if I didn't quit, I wouldn't live beyond 2024, and that was true. He found a rehab center online and encouraged me to go. I planned to stay for 2 weeks, but they recommended 3 months, but I compromised on a month. By the third week, I returned home and I realized that I was free. Now, through this experience, I learned an important lesson. The battle starts in your mind. Once you win there, you've already won 70% on your way to recovery. The chemical aspect is much easier to overcome once the mental battle is won. I'm deeply grateful to my dad, my family, my uncles, my aunties, and my siblings. Without them, I would not be here today. So why am I sharing my story? Even though my dad doesn't like the idea of me telling people that I used to be a drug addict, I don't mind because I am a winner. I fought and I won a great battle that many have lost their lives to. And I'm proud of it. And I almost did lose my life to it. But more importantly, I learned so much from the experience and it changed me for the better. My main reason for coming out is to help others. I've seen firsthand what addiction can do. It's an epidemic destroying our society and our children. We cannot stay silent, especially in a world where drugs are glamorized by influencers, celebrities, and those we look up to. Social media, unchecked by censorship, prioritizes views and monetization over values. But we can't let these trends define us. If my story can inspire even one person to seek help, then sharing it is worth it. Addiction is not the end. With the right mindset and support, recovery is possible. And if I could do it, so can you. It's heartbreaking to see how normalized drug use has become. We live in a world where kids as young as 10 or 12 are experimenting with substances they don't know or understand, all because someone they admire made it seem cool. This is why I am stepping up. I want to counter this narrative. I want to show the reality of addiction, its ugly and painful truth, and the beauty of recovery. I want to inspire hope in those who are struggling and educate those who think they are immune. Because trust me, no one is. Every addict out there has a story, and every story matters. But not everyone has the courage to tell theirs. I'm here to share mine, not because I want pity or applause, but because I want to be a voice of reason, a voice of hope. If my story helps even one person decide to put down the joint, refuse that pill, or pour that bottle down the drain, then I have done my part. But it's not just about addicts, it's about the families too, the parents, the siblings, and friends who feel helpless watching someone they love spiral out of control. I want them to know that there is hope, that recovery is possible, and they can be a part of the solution. To everyone listening or watching, here is my challenge. Be the change. If you're struggling with addiction, take the first step today. Whether it's reaching out to someone, seeking help, or even just admitting to yourself that you have a problem. And if you're not an addict, but know someone who is, don't turn your back on them. Be there for them. Support them. Sometimes all it takes is one person believing in you to change your life. Let's not wait for addiction to take more lives, destroy more families, or rob more people of their potential. Let's take a stand now. Together, we can create a world where drug use isn't glorified, where addicts aren't shamed but helped, and where recovery stories like mine are the norm and not the exception. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonates with you, please share it. Let's start conversations. Let's break the silence. Let's fight addiction together. So this is the first in a series of videos in my stand against addiction. If you love this video and you love other related contents to it, kindly subscribe to my channel. I would love to hear your comments and other topics you would like me to discuss. If you would also like to share your story, you can send your stories to me via email. I will leave my email down in the description box, so you can send your stories to me. If you would also want to come on the show to talk to people and encourage them, that is also very welcome. You can mail me about your ideas. I'll leave my email in the description box. Once again, my name is SMS Hypertalk. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye. Bye.